Now you may be asking yourself, Raph, what the fuck are you doing? Don't you have like 5 more videos to do before your Malevolent series is over? And to that I say, with the rate I'm going at, buddy, it's gonna be more than 5. Now, you see, my friends, I need to get smarter. It's probably going to take me, at minimum, half a year to finish off Malevolent Blackstone, and by then we're going to have almost a full season of Malevolent Threshold. Now, of course, I don't mind doing these Malevolent videos. It's one of my greatest fixations right now. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it. That'd just be stupid. But it would be nice to be caught up. It would be nice to be caught up, but I also don't want to speed through the last couple seasons of Blackstone because they're the best ones. So I have made the potentially deranged executive decision to do my Malevolent Blackstone videos as long as I want them to be, but start releasing Threshold on a more episodic basis. With many littler videos coming out between gigantic ones, hopefully that means I'll be able to spend more time on the gigantic ones while simultaneously being caught up. Or I could dig myself into an even deeper hole. Well, don't just stand there. Hand me my shovel. I'm going in. Overture. Overture is an ironic musical term that means a piece that comes before an extended composition. We're taken to a mansion on the fancy side of Arkham where one Robert Puckett is meeting with Leonard Gilbert. 2 new players. Or are they? Puckett is probably definitely a mobster, and Gilbert is some kind of weird mystic astrologer dork who apparently Arthur doesn't like very much. At least I assume so, but I can only imagine why. Now, I knew I was going to be in a bit of trouble when we came back to Arkham because thanks to the campaigns, I know some of the things there. But when Puckett described that he was being haunted by something from, quote, beyond the grave, my monkey mind immediately went to Roland. So for several months, I was convincing myself that Puckett was being haunted by Roland, which I'm aware is probably not true considering Roland was murdered by Eddie, a cultist, and not a mobster, but it's just nice to think about. Arthur starting to hear the lighter sound too later on in the episode did not help with this delusion. So anyway, to exorcise the memory from him or something, Leonard puts Puckett into a trance, he wakes up scared, and then Leonard's like, wow, that's fucked up, man. You should talk to this one guy I got for special cases. Just don't mention my name. That one guy he's got for special cases, I'm doing air quotes with my fingers, is Arthur Lester, who we know because when he's mentioned is the first time Pharoah's song starts playing, and that's so freaking metal, dude. Part 1. Dead Man's Mouthpiece. In what is either a cut or perhaps implied to be Arthur's dreams, Puckett is shooting at something and he's very scared of whatever he sees, but just like any good Lovecraft character, he doesn't actually say what it is, he just describes how horrified he is. And finally, after what feels like forever but was actually just 1 week to the Patreon people, our boys are back! And I love how Harlan chose to recap things. It's corny, but it's so adorable.
Remind me again. How exactly is this fair?
How? You want a full refresher?
Also, several new things. John can now take over Arthur's left side at will, which means Arthur can fully use his left hand and foot when he needs to. He still always has the eyes, but it turns out that's actually a good thing because now Arthur sleeps with his eyes open so John can still keep watch while he's asleep. We also get a bit more insight into what timeout actually does to the entity in Arthur's head. We learn that it's less like sleeping for John as it was kind of previously implied to be, and more like just a quiet space away from each other. But one that only Arthur has control over, just like only John can control taking over his left side. In light of these different things they now can control about each other, there are a lot more conversations that involve asking for consent, which is it makes me so happy. There was a time way back when where they really did want to hurt each other and where both of them exploited each other's trust in the other. And now they're such good friends that they ask for things. It's almost like they enjoy each other's company or something. Even when they argue now, this is everything I've ever dreamed of. So anyway, they're staking out a barn where some old guy found a creepy ass symbol in it, and guess what? There's a boy in the barn who's trying to kill somebody over the creepy symbol. Arthur shoots him. Because obviously. However, I've got several concerns. Number 1, he was rattling off something about not letting him escape, which, this may seem a bit crazy. But where have we seen a barn before, with a creepy symbol in the middle? Where'd that gateway open up? Or maybe that's just what he wants us to think. The instant Arthur shoots this guy, a cop shows up, but fortunately it's a cop they know, one by the name of Michael Callahan. Oh god, motherfuckers named Michael when they're trying not to get taken over by an otherworldly influence. I just have a feeling, okay? Our new special boy, Michael Callahan, is a Bible thumper. And this is my favorite line of the series so far.
Why you gotta take these cases, Arthur? You're a good PR. Hell, I've seen your work. But you only take this kind of stuff, this devil's work.
He says devil with a chill.
Characters that make biblical references about themselves, especially in a negative context, in a way that actually makes sense. Also, forgot to mention, Arthur has terrifying accuracy for a blind man who's being guided by an entity in his head. He hits Sam with a friggin' 360 no-scope. Also consider, if Callahan is part of the police force, and Roland has a law enforcement background, we don't know if that law enforcement background was actually in Arkham, but even still, do you think they knew each other? Do you think Michael Callahan knows who Roland and Charlie were? Callahan lets Arthur keep the creepy page that Sam was using to do whatever the hell he was trying to do because he wouldn't be able to understand it. Anyway, Arthur runs off to have dinner with Farrow, which they are super late for, but they can't afford to stand outside for a couple of extra minutes so John can describe Farrow, and that's where we learn both Arthur and Farrow have freckles! Arthur accidentally talks all about his police work with Farrow, which I'm sure won't have devastating consequences later down the line, and then she goes off to her dorm. And Arthur almost cries the whole time because he loves spending time with his daughter, and he loves hearing about her puzzle books and her astronomy. And he loves sharing pie with her, and oh yeah, that's a bit devastating. One of Farrow's puzzle books has a famous puzzle in it called Cain's Jawbone. I'm sure that's nothing. Can't take credit for that, by the way. I think this is the original post on Tumblr. If not, I'm sorry. Farrow took a message from their phone from some Puckett guy who seems to be needing their help, so after they finish their slice of pie, they go do that. Part 2. Death Mask of Fear. That's so badass, it sounds like an Ultra Kill level. They arrive at the house and Arthur quickly deduces that it was either a monster or a giant man with no shoulders that broke into Puckett's door and they were shot at, but it seems that Puckett is dead. He's dead on the floor. Instead of touching the body to figure out how he died, Arthur wanders off into the weeds, which was a decision I was 110% behind. Inside the literal weeds of a greenhouse, Arthur finds out that whoever came in hasn't gone out yet, and then they get jumped. He gets knocked around a bit, but he manages to pickpocket the guy while he's getting tackled and beat up. Oh my god. So when the perp jumps out the window, Arthur has the thing that he supposedly stole from around Puckett's neck. A key. On their way back out, they run into a detective from the Arkham Police Department. Logan.
What are you doing here? Was driving by. Saw the door was open. Thought I'd use the restroom.
Me when I'm in a pissing people off competition and my opponent is Arthur Lester. This is going to be such a fun dynamic to watch unfold. I can barely contain myself. Do you think Logan knew? I'm peeking my fucking mic. Do you think Logan knew Roland and Charlie? Bro, imagine being Logan and having worked there since Roland was there and trying to prove that every single private eye in that building has killed their partners before. No wonder he's so pissed off at Arthur for existing. They get the hell out of there and John is... John, in his infinite wisdom, is like, hey Arthur, you want to search his car? It's right there, all new and shiny. And Arthur, God bless him, is like, no. Arthur has just informed us and reminded John that this guy has been stalking Farrow because he hates Arthur so much. He also, oddly, has a similar build and red scarf to the guy who just tackled them in the greenhouse. And John wants to search his car while he's like 30 feet away? We learn why John is so excited about this a couple minutes later after a quick visit to the morgue, where we learn Callahan has a mysterious cut on his hand and Sam is dead. Callahan is also now suspiciously interested in whatever Arthur finds in his devil books about the page he was given at the crime scene, after giving him the page in the first place because he didn't want to hear about it and didn't think he'd understand it, when the case is fairly open and shut. And John, king of fantastic decisions, is like, we should keep him in the loop. I'm sure his sudden interest in our work, in spite of a very strong belief system that frequently clashes with ours, and a mysterious new injury, isn't at all indicative of something having gone amiss. John, I love you, but please. On the way home, they stop by a bookstore or something. It doesn't matter. John is a published author. They also have one of their more classic arguments, but it doesn't last near as long as it used to. When they actually get into the office where Arthur is sleeping after like 5 months of being home still, that's kind of... oh, man. Anyway, when they finally sit down for the night, John asks for a timeout so he can think about his new story, which Arthur is happy to give him. Or is he? At the end of part 1 and a couple more times in part 2, Arthur has been hearing 2 things. A song and a lighter. Worse, John doesn't seem to be able to hear it. When I first heard it and it was just the lighter, I was begging for it to be Roland, but that was really just to satisfy my own mind. When I started hearing the song, I honestly thought it was Kane, because this isn't the first time a song that's been following them is because of Kane, but also because the song is Stardust by Carmichael, and Carmichael was a fake name that Arthur gave Kane when he was talking about him to Yellow. But as Arthur talks aloud to the darkness behind him that only seems to be clicking a lighter and playing that same song, we learn who it really is.
Now you're not going away. Are you? Parker.
So the bird can sing.
Parker! I cannot even begin to describe to you people the crash out that I had once this was revealed. This explains why Parker wasn't in the Dark World. And you know who else wasn't in the Dark World? Even more exciting, the phone rings and Parker says he recognizes the voice on the other end of the line as one of Edwin's, who I know about because he was in the campaigns. Too bad we don't have Collins with us because Edwin was actually scared of him. I could yammer on about the hypotheticals of that and honestly the hypotheticals of Parker for a long time, but this has already gone about as long as a normal video has gone, which is concerning. The one thing I would like to point out is I find it very interesting that on the same night Robert Puckett was murdered by, supposedly, what could possibly be, is perhaps implied to be, the ghost of someone whom he caused the death of. Parker appeared to Arthur, for what seemed to be the first time, after a similar haunting period of some sort of rhythmic sound associated with him in life. Unfortunately, to the best of my knowledge, Roland is not associated with ticking clocks. But originally I wasn't going to record a design segment, but I have been flying through these frames and I want to talk more, even if it may evolve later. May evolve. It will absolutely change. Probably within the next couple of weeks. I don't know why I'm trying to be so mysterious with the hair thing. It is the world's worst kept secret that I love drawing Arthur with long hair. Unfortunately, Artie is no longer clawing his way across dimensions, and he does have regular access to a razor and scissors. So rather than ignoring canon, which is something I very well could do, I've instead decided to give it a more creative solution. I figured that if being eldritch somehow manifests in someone's hair by making it swirly like Kane, then I figure why can't it also make their hair grow very fast? John's influence makes Arthur's hair longer. And the magic trees probably helped. I don't make the rules, except I just did. This is why in the first frame Arthur's hair is perfectly shorn and kempt, and then by the time we get to Parker, it's down to his shoulders again. The color that is currently shown on John does represent his quote-unquote final form. I didn't think there would be a series 2, so I don't know how that's going to continue. There was an attempt to make a threshold design for John that was more human and gave her a wider range of expressions, but, I thought the mask I made for him was too iconic, and I wanted to keep it. Also, for entirely canon-compliant reasons, and not just as a personal slight against a friend, I have decided Arthur would hide his neck scar by dressing in the most unslutty way possible. I entirely support this fandom's creative decisions, but I do question them, and I am concerned. He also gets a trench coat, because I'm also pretty sure it was the fandom who decided on a whim that Arthur's new tree finger would be on his right hand, and I'm the one who decided it would be an index finger, because apparently it's supposed to be a pinky still. Thanks to John describing Faroe, we got a little bit of canon confirmation on what she and Arthur looks like, but the only thing I really did with that was make Arthur's freckles less sparse and give Faroe normal eyes. Or at least I think I will. I'm still not completely sold on giving up the 2 different colored eyes. I did not re-listen to John's description before I drew Faroe, which I might do for next time. I also forgot Arthur had a hat and gave him a 1911. Again, because. Really trying to project all the Roland I can onto Arthur just to cope. Speaking of firearms, I modeled puckets after a peacemaker because it seemed like something a rich, showy mob boss would have. I was prepared to have a long segment for Parker because he's really the big ticket item of this group of episodes, but honestly, I didn't do anything that I didn't do in the very first video I drew him in. The only thing especially notable is his permanent 5 o'clock shadow that I plan on keeping as long as I can keep it, which will save me from having to draw any gross zombified bits I don't want to. It also seems to be a theme with some of my designs that whenever something is in someone else's head, they always have that sort of half-face cubism whatever thing going on. John in yellow, obviously, but when Kane is in John's head in the dark world, I also draw him like that, and I don't know why I did that. And I didn't have this in mind when I was drawing Parker with the 5 o'clock shadow covering half of his face, but now I really like it, so I'm making it a thing. The rest of the design bits are written out on the frames because I didn't think I was going to be doing this segment when I was drawing them. So I think that about does it. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been amazing making these videos. This fandom is awesome and lovely and supportive, and so are all of my friends, and so is my wonderful family. I say this every single time, but there's like months between videos, so I really do mean it every single time. If you want a sticker from me, or alternatively just want to give me money, I won't stop you. There's a Ko-Fi link in the description. I'm so good at marketing. The next part of Season 4 is projected to be out in May, so make sure you subscribe and like and turn on the... Wouldn't it be hilarious if Kane possessed Callahan? That means both Kane and his daughter are possessing Southerners. Now Azathoth just needs to find himself somebody and we can have a malevolent version of the old gods of Appalachia.